Hi there. Welcome to the Biz Communication Show. I'm your host, Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy, bringing you communication tips and strategies that will boost your business. And I do that through a conversation with a highly qualified guest. And our guest today certainly fits that category. I'm delighted to welcome from Englewood, Colorado, Katie Brinkley. Katie Brinkley is revolutionizing social media marketing with her less is more approach. That sounds fascinating. With over 19 years expertise, and notice I didn't say experience, it's expertise. With over 19 years expertise, Katie has developed a unique 4-post strategy that helps clients achieve more growth while posting less. This game changing method leverages Katie's storytelling tactics tailored to each brand's goals. Katie's credentials are very impressive. From implementing social media growth for AT&T to direct TV to providing done-for-you services for solopreneurs, Katie understands social media's evolution. Blending journalism and social media savvy, Katie helps clients attract their ideal audience and drive measurable results effectively, which is what we all want. So join me in welcoming Katie Brinkley to the Biz Communication Show. Hello, Katie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Bill.
Well, I'm so delighted to have you because I have been reading your book, The Social Shift, The Road Back to Community. It's your first book, and I'm sure it's not going to be your last one. It's a very vital book. If I'd been using a highlighter, I would have worn out 2 or 3 of them as I went through the book. Many excellent points. Katie, let's start with the title. What do you mean by the social shift?
Yeah, I wish that it was a little bit easier to say. You have to be really careful saying the social shift because if you say it too fast, you could say a different word. But
I get the point.
yeah, I think that one of the biggest things we've run into with social media over the past, especially since the pandemic, so let's say the past 5 years or so, is how we are showing up and consuming. It's opening up Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook or TikTok. It's no different than turning on the television. And we need to shift away from that because that's not what social media was intended for. It was intended for conversations and community and connecting with one another across borders and across state lines and across the world. And I think that we've really shifted away from that true intention of social media. So we need to shift our social media intentions back to the original intentions of social media.
I like what you said about reaching beyond state boundaries and reaching internationally, even. I said not too long ago that this little mouse on my desk can take me faster and farther and cheaper than I could go on a plane or any other transportation. And as you're saying, an entire world has opened to us. Well, Katie, what are some signals that you would point out that we are not achieving the community that's possible? What are some of our practices and our habits and our ways of using the social media, appearing there and posting? What are some of them which don't fit the community that you're advocating?
Well, you are the biz communications guy, and this is one of the things that I think you'll really find value in is people are showing up and creating content with the hopes of going viral. And going viral is not a business strategy. And we're constantly being told you need to post more, you need to do more. Oh, you're not seeing any success, you're not getting any leads. Well, you're not doing it right. You need to post more. And that couldn't be further from the truth. If you are posting with intention, you don't need to post so often. And if you're posting less on social media, but you're having high valuable content that's building a community, it's actually going to be growing and building your business for you too.
Well,
And
the question that I would have there is I would think that the people who are posting so often, and there are dozens of them that I could mention, I would think that they're under the assumption that, for example, we're going to talk about the method that in a minute that you recommend and teach and coach. But I assume they're thinking that, let's say, gee, I'm going to post on Monday, but I can't wait to post till Thursday. There are all these other people that be posting in between. That's probably the assumption that these ever-present posters are going by, isn't it?
yeah, and it's true. I think that a lot of people think that in order to have success on social media, you essentially need to turn into a media conglomerate, your own, media TV show, having podcasts and having videos and creating short form videos and writing articles. And that's a lot of work. And if you're doing all of those things, then how are you actually growing your business?
So
And so,
our assumption is mistakenly that it's a numbers game, right?
what do you mean?
Well, I'm thinking many people think it's a numbers game in that the more I post,
Oh, yeah.
the visibility, the more visibility I have, the more articles, the more videos, the
Mhm.
more uh,
Yes.
and it's one way communication
Yep.
for the most part,
Yeah.
which is the big problem.
Yeah. You're standing out there with with a megaphone, hoping that someone walks by and hears your message. But if you sitting in a conference room with 15 of the right people that are ready to share your business, talk about you when you're not in the room, and amplify you and are your biggest fans. I mean, Bill, before you hit, before we started this, you said, I see all your posts, Katie, and thank you. That I love that. You're a part of my community. You're invested in me and my posts, and if you haven't seen from me for a while, you might send me a DM like, "Where's Katie been? I haven't heard from her." And that's the relationships that you have when you show up with intention and you're crafting the posts and the content specifically for your community and not just with the hopes of, if I do more, hopefully more people will see this and maybe, they might buy from you, but I got to do more and more and more. And the community aspect it's the it's the gold in social media. It's what's going to move the needle for your business, and it's what's going to build out your biggest brand advocates.
One of the analogies that you make in the book that really connected with me very strongly, and I think will with other readers, is where you talk about how one of the ways we used to communicate with each other, which was so meaningful, so personal, so touching, and so much and really in touch as we wanted to be, and that's writing letters. Tell us about how you said we could take that same method, which we're not using very much. In fact, Katie, if I get a handwritten note or letter from somebody, I'm very excited because that's rare. Yet you made a comparison on how we could take that same approach in the social media. Talk about that for a minute, please.
Yeah, I think that with social media, it's so fast, and we've gotten so impatient with that instant gratification. So if something doesn't go viral, if this one doesn't get an X amount of likes, but like you said, there's something magical and powerful about having that handwritten letter. And when you respond to people through the DMs, when you answer them on their comments, that that almost feels like that handwritten letter for your in a digital world. And it's the outbound engagement that is so valuable and that really builds the community better than creating a whole bunch of posts. And I'm going to share something. So Bill knows, and for those of you that follow me on social media, my mom had a real bad health situation in 2023, and you know, I was I just couldn't bring myself to be on social media that much. However, to create content. However, I was still on social media for about an hour a week, not creating the content, but engaging with people, doing the outbound engagement, commenting on other people's posts. And it let people know that, hey, I'm still around. I'm still uh, checking in with you. I'm still here. I don't have the capacity to be creating content for you right now.
But you stayed in touch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, I started on, I think I started taking this direction you're talking about maybe a year or two ago. And one of the ways that I do it, and I don't know if you recommend this or not, but for example, if someone sees after I posted, if someone sees this interview between us and they like it or comment on it, and it's someone I don't know, and it's very likely that many of your fans and customers and followers and connections are going to post that they like it. I will uh, go to their LinkedIn page and I will find whether or not they're connected with me. Probably they're not. And so, what I will do is look at something on their LinkedIn page that would be as you would call it, a very natural connection. For example, they're in some form of communication as I am, or they're from my region of the country, or they've written a book I've read, or something that I can comment on. And then I invite them. I noticed that you liked my interview with Katie. And I also saw this about you. I'll be very pleased if you accept my LinkedIn invitation. And that's far more personal than just hitting connect and
Yep.
and they don't know anything about you and they certainly don't know anything that you would have in common. But I have found that the response on that is it's practically overwhelming because
Mhm.
you can add people uh, to your connecting list without pitching them, without trying to sell them anything. And
Mhm.
before long, they're commenting on what you do. And that I would assume from the book where you call it The Road Back to Community. Wouldn't
Yes.
that be an example of what you're advocating, Katie?
Exactly. And that's exactly it. You're building out your network and you're building out the people that you can be connected with by authentic ways. It's not just some random, and I'm sure you get these all the time too. LinkedIn has a serious problem with it right now, but these Apple podcast promoters like trying to make LinkedIn connection requests. Hey, Katie, I'm a Apple podcast promoter. Connect with me. And it's like, but this you're building the connections. You're building out your community the right way. And right now and this is one of the things I talk about in the book, we're in the Web 2 world. So everything with the connections that we're making, we have to actively seek out. Exactly like what you said, Bill. Someone will comment on your post. You can check to see if you're connected. You'll go to their page. And then we're hoping on the LinkedIn, the Facebook, the Instagram, whatever algorithm to say, okay, we're going to show you the content that this new connection pushes out when they do it, if they do it. And we're relying on these algorithms of these billion-dollar companies to connect us with our community. And so I think that as we're going in more intentionally with exactly what you said, that's everyone listening to exactly what Bill does for connection outreach. That's what you want to do. But this is the way where we have to be more intentional with what we're doing in this Web 2 world, where we still have to like go through leaps and bounds to build our community when there's an algorithm saying like, well, I computer think that you would like this better than seeing somebody that you've tried to build community with. Because the next iteration of the internet, the Web3, the metaverse, it's not going, we're not going to have the algorithms. It's going to be decentralized. And these connections that we're making now intentionally, it's going to be that way in the next iteration of the internet. And whether the next iteration is going to be in 2024 or maybe it's going to be in 2054, I don't know. But if we start changing the way that we're connecting and building our community now in this Web 2 world, it's not going to be hard to do it when everything is decentralized and more peer-to-peer and human-to-human connecting.
You know, I took a risk. I didn't tell you ahead of time about this method, and I took a real risk talking to the expert on social media and doing it where other people could hear it. So I'm relieved.
No, everyone do exactly what Phil's doing. He's doing it right.
All right, Katie, you in the book and in your coaching and in your presentations, you have become known for a very novel approach, and it relates very closely to what we've been talking about. And that is the 4-posting strategy, the 4-post strategy. I want to talk with you about that. We'll be back in just a minute.
Do you wish you felt confident about giving speeches? Do you want to deal with difficult people constructively? And what about becoming more persuasive in sales? Then keep listening now to Dr. Bill Lampton. He spent 20 years in management, so he knows the communication skills you need for success. I urge you to call the Biz Communication Guy today for a no-cost but very valuable 30-minute discussion about your communication challenges. Call now, 678-316-4300. Again, that's 678-316-4300.
We're talking with Katie Brinkley on the Biz Communication Show. We're happy that you're with us on the video portion or the podcast portion. Katie, as I mentioned, you talk about the 4-post strategy. Here we've got people who think you better do 400 posts a week, but you say 4. What would those 4 posts look like? What would each one try to achieve?
Yeah, and I think that in a world of more, it's kind of relieving to hear you only need to do 4 posts a week. And then you don't even, the strategy, if you want to post every day, this system still works. It's still very effective, and you're touching your audience and you're growing your community the right way. And I get into it in chapter 8 of The Social Shift. But this 4-post strategy is designed to talk about one topic a variety of ways on one platform. Yes, I know it sounds crazy hearing a social media agency owner tell you to stop posting so much on social media, but studies have shown that posting 3 to 4 times a week is just as effective as posting daily on social media. So the 4-post strategy is my awareness to action strategy, and it takes people throughout the customer journey every single week without asking people to sign up for your newsletter or buy from you or listen to your podcast. By the end of the week, you're going to have your community enticed and wanting to engage and wanting to download and wanting to buy from you because you've made them problem aware. So the 4-post strategy takes you from awareness to elaboration, community building, and then action. And if you think about it, I mean, Bill, I love the show. It's the second time I've been on the show, but I've never gone to LinkedIn to listen to an episode. I've gone to, my podcast player, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Good Pods, whatever it is. People want to listen to a podcast are going to go there. But how can you make people begging for you to share that you actually have a podcast episode that's going to answer all of these questions? And it's in the 4-post strategy.
That is so valuable. It's so valuable from the standpoint of strategy and also from the standpoint of time management, because nobody's going to stop us from posting 4 to 5 to 6 hours a day. Nobody's. I can tell you there must be some people who are doing that as often as I see them on there, and I hope they succeed. I don't wish anybody any ill fortune. However, I'm much more attracted as you are to the idea of connection, and I'll go back to what you said at the first. And you started your career in broadcasting, so it's very appropriate to say, "Hey, look, folks, this is not broadcasting. This is not to whom it may concern. This is not yours from sun up until midnight," as broadcasting would be. So, very valuable strategy that you gave us. Katie, hosting you is an incredible pleasure, and it's always highly informative. And one thing I want to do before we wind up is to have you tell us how we can get connected with you and how we can order the social shift.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, the time just flew right on by, Bill. Thank you again so much for having me. And I hope that I've given everybody a little bit of a get out of jail free card when they feel overwhelmed when it comes to social media, and given them the opportunity to post less. And this is where I think understanding what the intention is and what the goals are from the post that you're about to hit publish. Why are you hitting that? And if you ask yourself that first, it's going to make a huge difference in growing your community of the right followers. You can get the social shift at katiebrinkley.com/book. katiebrinkley.com/book is the place where you can get the paperback or the hardcover copy.
Katie told me this was an 18-month process. This wasn't something she just knocked out in one weekend. And in addition to what we talked about today, there's so much more in there about all the different platforms that we're familiar with, and how to post and how to succeed, and mostly how to participate and how to connect. Now that Katie has talked about her book and her contact information, I'm happy to share mine. I invite you to go to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is, if you go to the search bar and type in my YouTube moniker, Bill Lampton, Ph.D., you'll find 450 instructional videos, and that's free. Everybody's favorite word, free. Something else I hope you'll find is the subscribe button. So hit the subscribe button. That will give you access to all of the previous posts that I've done. Quite a number of them were individual, but in the last 5 years or so, many of them have been the Biz Communication Show with terrific guests like Katie Brinkley. And then my website, since I'm the Biz Communication Guy, and invite you to go to my website, logically, B-I-Z, bizcommunicationguy.com. And notice while you're there that there's a place to subscribe to my podcast. I invite you to do that as well. I'm open to talking with you with no obligation. So give me a phone call, and we can explore what your communication problems and challenges are and see how I can assist you with them. Katie, by the way, that phone number is 678-316-4300. Katie, as we close out, do you have a 30-second thought that you would like to wind it up with?
Yeah. Well, one, connect with Bill. Follow him on LinkedIn. He's going to do a great job of connecting with you and building out his community. He's doing it the right way. And I hope that you actually, that was probably the biggest tip from today's episode, Bill, of what you do when you make connection requests of engagement. That is the secret sauce to building out your community on social media the right way. Bill, I don't know if you're on any other social media platforms, but I know that you and I are connected on LinkedIn. And it just goes to show you that if you go in with a strategy and with intention on just one platform, you're going to build out a community of the right people that are connected with you and want to be your biggest brand advocates.
Wonderful summary and overview of what we covered and advised, Katie. Thank you again to Katie Brinkley for being our guest. Thank you to those who have joined us on YouTube or the podcast. I'm Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy, and this is the Biz Communication Show, inviting you to be with us for the next edition.